Well, hello and welcome back to the Eager Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your Atlanta based host, Candace Mays. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a special guest for you all the way from Australia, Miss Jaimie Abbott. She brings over 2 decades of experience. She working in the PR industry, also as a public speaking coach. It's a tongue twister for me, but we're excited to have her here. Jaimie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Candace. It's an absolute honor to be here on your show.
Absolutely. Well, it's great to have you. And before we jump into your excellent topic, she's got some great tips for us on how to scale your business with public relations. And she's going to talk all about that. But before we jump in, I thought it'd be helpful for you to give us a little bit of background about yourself and how you got started in the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started out as a journalist. I worked in TV and radio in Sydney, Australia, where I was living at the time. And to get to that point, I had to do work experience everywhere. I went to every single Australian TV network and just made cups of coffee for journalists to try and just get in their ear and find out what it was like to be a journalist. And then from there, I got a job working in Sydney radio and a Sydney TV current affairs program. And I then moved out to regional Australia, where I worked as a TV presenter, did 3 years there. And then I moved into a bit of politics for a while as well, before I set up my very first media training and public relations training business. Along the way, I'm also in the Air Force Reserves here in Australia, and I did 6 months in Afghanistan, working alongside US counterparts as part of ISAF, the International Security Assistance Force based in Kabul, the capital city. And it was there that I set up the very first media training package, which they were then using for the spokespersons in Afghanistan for the international press conferences we were doing every single week. And so I pretty much bottled up all those lessons learned from Afghanistan in this media training package that I delivered, and used that when I came back. And I had a lot of, what not to do's, what to do's. And I then set up that package in my own business. And that was 2011. So over a decade ago now that I've been doing this. And I love teaching people how to do their own public relations. I certainly have my own clients who are happy to outsource that and get me to write all their press releases. But I love teaching small business owners, entrepreneurs, startups, how to do it themselves and how to not only do their own PR, but as you mentioned, the other side of my business is showing people how to feel more confident when public speaking, and then showing them how they can then use that to promote and really expose themselves in their business.
I'm so glad we found each other, JB. It speaks so you speak so eloquently, and I mean, I think seasoned. Your career is an understatement, but I mean, your experience, I had no idea. That's amazing. Um,
Oh,
and I know you're going to bring so much value. We're going to talk about where you can find her, all that's to come, but she is going to grace us with her topics for today. So really, if you want to dive in, Jaimie, the floor is yours. Uh,
oh, wow. Thank you. How long have we got, Candace? I could talk all day.
we're gonna have a part two, I think.
Well, look, let's focus on the public relations, because I really am passionate about that in particular, because they're for small business owners and entrepreneurs. There is this perception out there that you need to have a lot of time, you need to be good at writing, and you need to have a lot of money. And none of those things are true. Anyone can do their own public relations. You go online and have a look at Forbes, Entrepreneur, Huffington Post, and have a look at the topics and the articles that are top of the list that are trending. I was looking at Huffington Post the other day, and the topic that was the number one story of the day was 5 ways to choose your favorite paint color. And that's what people were interested in. And so that is just an example of how you don't need to write these incredible long blogs or press releases. You just need to put it out there what you know. And I think a lot of people don't take that plunge and put out a press release themselves, or approach an online news site and say, here's what I could write about as a guest contributor. And when people do that, the exposure they get for their business, as a start, they get their name along the bottom of the article, which is a huge international audience. If you get onto Entrepreneur or Forbes or Huffington Post, there are a stack out there. And people can then look you up, or they might even have a link to your business, to your website. And just the amount of money that's worth from a publicity point of view is just incredible. And I really just want to break down a lot of those myths for people who think, oh, I need to pay a PR agent, when that's not necessarily the case. PR agencies, I saw a statistic the other day, they have increased. They've gone up 30% in the last 5 years. So there'll always be a place for publicists, public relations agents, marketing agencies, because you've always got those people who will outsource that. And that's great, but not everyone has the budget for that, or not everyone is at that point, and they can send their own press releases out. All they need to do is just know a couple of things, like what's going to make news, how do I make my article newsworthy, because journalists do get hundreds of emails every day. If you can just pitch to them in the right way, in that opening headline, that opening paragraph, you can do your own publicity. And to be honest, Candice, a lot of journalists would rather hear from you as the entrepreneur rather than a PR agent anyway. So it really is powerful to be able to do your own PR.
So the guest contributor piece, I didn't think about that, but that's an excellent takeaway. A kind of way to go about that. And yes, the perception I've always had is my history is working in B2B markets, and I'm like, okay, we have to pay a lot for the PR, but you can do it. It's possible to do your own with the right moves, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And, the next question a lot of people often ask is, well, how do I find these news sites? It's so easy. All you need to do is go onto Google and type in guest posters wanted or guest contributors wanted, or maybe mix that around a little bit. So you could write article submissions here or article submissions welcome. You can just mix that around and you'll get so many different online news sites. Particularly, you can then narrow that down to your target audience, where your target audience is hanging out, what news sites they are going to, and then just approach those news sites and say, look, I'd love to write an article on A, B, and C, or write your article, maybe 700 to 1,000 words. Sometimes these news sites will have their guidelines on there. They'll say it needs to be 800 to 1,500 words, or maybe slightly more or less than that, and then send it to them as a Word document. The other thing is, a lot of these news sites love to have exclusives. So it is important most of the time to make sure you're only sending it to that particular news site and you haven't already published it on your website. Because these online news organizations on online websites love fresh content. They love to have that exclusive content as well. And you're going to have the best chance of it getting published, which is, as I said, so powerful and really exciting. If you can score something like that, say Entrepreneur or Forbes, not only does that bring amazing exposure for your business, but then on your website, you can then say, as featured in Entrepreneur or as seen in Huffington Post or Forbes. And that just brings a whole new level of credibility for you. All you need to have is one article published on those news sites or on those websites, and you can use that to elevate your profile.
Amazing. That's such great news. Can I ask you a question? What if someone's like not so confident in their writing skills? Any advice you might give them to strengthen that skill?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So I've developed some online courses to show people step by step how to do that. And so that's a whole, couple of hours to show you how to do that. But to really just give you some quick tips there, you don't need to be amazing at writing, but a couple of things you can focus on. So first is the heading, the headline. So what's going to draw people in? And sometimes you might write that at the end, once you've thrashed out your article or your press release and the creative juices are flowing, you can then come back and write your heading. That's a really important element of your blog post or your press release. Then the second most important thing is your paragraph, your first paragraph. And in that first paragraph, you just need to remember that that may be all the journalist reads because they're getting hundreds of pictures every day. So you need to get straight to your most newsworthy angle, the most dramatic part of what you're talking about. And there are a couple of little tips to come up with that. So the first one is I go through some news values with people, and some of those news values include conflict. And conflict could be something like the government is saying this, but we've actually found this. Or the industry is saying this, but we've actually found this. Because journalists are always looking for fresh angles, fresh content, different points of view about a particular topic. And so if you can provide a little bit of conflict in your opening paragraph, that's going to draw them in. Is there something which is a novelty factor? So something a little bit different and out of the box? Is there something happening in the media at the moment which you can perhaps jump on that angle and put out a press release? So, you know, scan the news sites and think, oh, I might be able to jump on this particular topic and put out a press release about that. And the other great little tip is what I like to refer to as ST words. So if a word ends in the letters ST, so first, this is the first time this has happened, this is the last time this is happening, this is the largest, the grandest, the biggest, those types of words people love. And if you can throw in a couple of ST words into your opening paragraph, it's going to draw attention from not only the journalist, but also your readers. And then, of course, finally, once you've mastered a couple of these things, and you know the rest of the press release or blog post will flow, and you can put some quotes in there. But the other important thing is your pitch. And so those things I've talked about, those ST words, you know, the novelty factor, conflict, does it have an impact on people's lives? Is this timely, or is there something happening in the media at the moment, which I can then provide another angle to? You want to put that into your email pitch. So you attach your blog post or your press release in your email, and then your little, you know, dear Candice, I'm a big fan of your work and your magazine, your online, you know, publications, your articles. I'd love to pitch this story to you, and here's why. And that's in your email pitch where you're putting those the news angle in to be able to draw attention, so they can actually open up your press release.
Fascinating. I'm thinking about the latest article I've read, and it did include those elements, and that is the only reason I kept reading. So that is excellent tips. Wow, this is great. Well, thank you for that, because I think I'm all ears, and I'm sure people are too. But I don't want to take you off your course, but going back to your topics. But this is great. Please share more.
Oh, yeah, sure. Look, there are a couple of just, you know, quick wins that I recommend as far as PR strategies for people. And that's where the public speaking thing comes into it as well. But just at the top of my head, the number one tool I would say to people out there thinking about getting some publicity for themselves and for their business is the press release. You know, have a go. You can just Google press release template. I've got a really mini course on press release writing as well, if you go to my website, and I have some templates. But, you know, failing that, I'm not here to sell my products. If you just go onto Google and type press release template, you'll be able to get a bit of a feel for what a press release is meant to look like. And sometimes these press release templates, well, in my case, the one I provide, actually goes through each paragraph and tells you what to put in. But generally, you want to put a couple of quotes in. You want to keep it to one page. I often have discussions with people about this, and they say, oh, no, 2 pages. But generally, more than 1 page, you're repeating yourself, or you're not getting to the point. You know, we call it waffle here in Australia. You're waffling. So you want to try and get it to 1 page and get straight to your point, have an opening headline, amazing hook. We call it hook, using those news values in that first paragraph, and then a couple of quotes in third person, you know, and you always want to cover the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Always, not only in a press release, but in a blog, in a keynote presentation, when you're up on stage, you want to make sure you cover those 6 elements, the 5 W's and the H. And that's a lot of the basis for my training. You know, make sure you put those 5 things in, because that's what the audience wants to know. And if you're doing an email pitch or a press release and you leave one of those elements out, the journalist will be asking that question, well, how can people get involved? Or how is this happening? Why is this happening? And you then run the risk of the story not getting picked up by a journalist. So you want to make sure you cover those 6 things in every product you put out there, whether it's an online article on your website, whether it's a social media post, something you're putting out there, you generally want to try and cover those things. The other thing is blog writing. This is a really useful tool. People often say to me, oh, blog's dead. Well, no, they're not, because through the power of search engine optimization, I've been able to really scale my business through blogging, because people can type in public speaking training, Newcastle, where I live in Australia. And because I've put these keywords in my blogs, and some of them might be from 4 years ago, they're coming up top on Google. Actually, and it's really just a side note, I wrote an article when COVID-19 was first happening and we were all moving to Zoom calls and everything was going virtual. I wrote an article about why it's rude to turn your video off during a Zoom call. And because I felt strongly about it, it wasn't really related to my business. And I just put it out there, and it's now been almost 2 years. When you go onto Google, well, in Australia, when you go onto Google and you type in Zoom video etiquette, or is it rude to turn your video off in a Zoom meeting, my blog comes up towards the top. I think it was top and now it's second or something. It changes. And so I'm now running Google ads, because I was getting probably 300 to 400 hits a day on that article. And that's all free. It's cost me nothing. Through search engine optimization, it's now coming up. So I'm now running Google ads and I'm making about $20 a day from that one blog post, so that's just extra money. But that's just a little side note there. That's not directly promoting my business, but it's certainly another income source for me. And it shows you how powerful blogs are. And the third tool I would probably say is public speaking. There are so many tools, but public speaking really is, it's the number one profession in the world as far as per hour. I think it's the highest paid income of any profession. People, some speakers will do a keynote presentation and command hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's pushed the average up. But public speaking, putting yourself out there, is really powerful for your business, because even if you're doing something for free, think about the audience, your target audience, who's sitting there listening to you, whether it's a 10-minute spot or you're volunteering to speak at your local business, chamber of commerce, or a local networking group for maybe female entrepreneurs, if that's your target audience. Putting yourself out there as a guest speaker and then giving yourself a plug, or you might have a book, and I'll get to books in a moment. And that's just an opportunity to get yourself in front of your ideal audience. Just talking about books, I have released a book on Amazon last year. So easy to self-publish on Amazon. People might not realize this, and tell me if you do know, but you can actually self-publish on Amazon, and you just upload your book. And what Amazon does is it prints on demand. Each time someone buys one of your books, it gets printed. And I wrote a book last year. I'm writing another one now on blogs. It's about to go up on Amazon. And it cost me about $6 a book for a pretty thick book. And that includes, like, you can order author copies. It's about $6. I think people have said they've paid no more than $10. And you can get those delivered to your house and then have a book. And that credibility that brings by being a published author is incredible. And also you can use the book to leverage your business by putting your website or maybe a lead magnet inside that book. So there are just a couple of my favorite strategies that I would recommend to an entrepreneur or a startup or a small business owner who is looking to get more exposure for their business.
I mean, these tools are so handy, Jaimie. Can I ask, what is the name of your first book?
Well, it's actually not related to, but I'm happy to share. So it's called The Pumping Princess, and it's about exclusively pumping breast milk for your baby. With my first, I've got 2 little boys, and with my first child, our breastfeeding journey didn't quite work out. I was running for politics at the time in an election campaign. I didn't win, but it was a really intense time, and I had this little baby, and I just didn't work out. second child still breastfeeding, but the first child, it didn't work out anyway. There was a lack of resources out there, I found, for people who were exclusive pumping. So using a breast pump. So this is not related to the topic at all, but because I felt so passionate about it, I would just write a different chapter every night that I was feeding my child or using this breast pump. And I've put it out on Amazon. It's actually doing really well as an extra income source in my business. But it's not something I necessarily put out there in my business. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm a published author from putting that book out there. And it's doing really well, especially with US audiences as well, because there was just not a lot of books out there on that topic.
I've heard the same thing. I have a few friends who've experienced that, and they're like, I can't find anything out there.
Yeah.
So there's definitely an audience for it. But I think that, again, speaks to the self-publishing aspect and possibility of doing something for yourself on Amazon. That's excellent.
Yeah, it was so easy. I'm really glad I did that, even though it's not related to my business, because now I just saw how easy that process was. And so you can sell it through Kindle as well as just self-publish. It's called KDP Publishing, and that's owned by Amazon. And yeah, just they will, if someone orders one of your books, Amazon prints it on demand and sends it out to that person. You know, the margin's pretty small, but you know, you can order all those author copies, and if you go and do a speaking gig, you can then have that book to sell. And it's so easy to put together a book. People who have got a couple of blogs, you know, a fair amount of blogs, if you're constantly blogging, and it's really important to have a strategy that's consistent. So every week I put a blog up, I put a YouTube video up, and then I get that transcribed. I use a website called otter.ai. And I just let the video run, and otter.ai just transcribes it for me. And then that turns into a blog. So this is the other thing. You can just do one video, one piece of content on your topic, and you just put your phone and just record a video. You then can transcribe that, and it turns into a blog. And then that goes up onto your website. You could perhaps then use that blog or send to these online news sites if you don't want to put it onto your website straight away, and say, here's an article I've written, even though it came from a video and it's just been transcribed. And then when you have a collection of these articles, which might have stemmed from videos, this is why you don't have to be good at writing. You just speak the content. You can then put all those blogs together and make an ebook. And then you can use that ebook to either sell, you can publish it on Amazon, or, you know, self-publish it through other means. You can give it away as a lead magnet to then start gathering emails as well. And so just the flow and effects from doing one video are really, really powerful as far as being able to get so many products out of that one video.
Fantastic. I was not familiar with that site. And I mean, technology is amazing. So we don't have to complicate things when we get, there are ways to simplify, and I love it.
Absolutely.
You'll have to tell us when you're, we hope we'll have to keep an eye on your blogging book that's coming up. We can't wait to see what you do there. But I know I'll have to take a look, because I mean, blogging, I'm not well versed on. And I think, yes, I've heard, you know, some people think it's the lost art, but there's so much value in it, and everybody's got something to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there thinking, oh, I need to start a blog and it needs to be monetized. But really, I'm just using that for search engine optimization, and also to start gathering ebooks together. So I just make sure. And the other thing is, I could talk all day to you, Candace. You don't have, people think, I don't have time to do this. So yes, you do. Record some videos about, just, you know, they only have to be 2 to 3 minutes long. Record a video, get someone like a virtual assistant to put it together into a blog if you like, or just use otter.ai and run it. All you'd have to do is turn the website on and play the audio from your video, and it'll transcribe it. Someone could put it together for a blog and then upload. I have a virtual assistant now that I've employed full time who does all this for me. And then I put the YouTube video embedded into the blog. And now when people are typing in certain keywords, such as public speaking for beginners, or how to do my own press releases, through the power of these blogs that I may have written some time ago, they're coming up on Google, and people are finding my website They're then signing up to my courses. They are then buying my services, buying my books, getting me on board to do their PR. It really is powerful. The other thing I will say is sometimes people think, oh, well, what am I going to write about? That's a common question I get from people who are coming into my public relations academy or doing my courses. There are 3 quick ways that I would like to share with you on how to do that. The first one is so simple. You just go onto Google and type in your particular topic. So let's just say you were an accountant or a financial planner. We call them financial planners. If you type onto Google, maybe budgeting, that's a topic. What you'll find is when you go onto Google and you just type that in, it drops down. Have you noticed, Candace? It drops down different topics that are related to that.
Yes.
And they are topics that are trending at that time. They are topics which people are typing in. So if you type in budgeting, it might drop down budgeting for beginners, the best budgeting apps in America, or the best budgeting apps in Australia, budgeting and finance, how to budget. And that is really useful intel because it's saying, okay, well, these are topics I could write about in my blogs or in my press releases, maybe the top 7 budgeting apps in 2022. So that's one quick way. The other really great secret I'm going to reveal is a website called, this is all free, answerthepublic.com. Now, have you heard of this website?
No.
Answer the Public. Oh, it's amazing. So you get 3 free searches a day, and then you have to, I think, sign up. But that's really all you need. What you do is you go to answerthepublic.com, type in your keyword. So in my case, it might be public speaking. So I'll type in public speaking. What Answer the Public then does is it is very in tune with Google, and it spits out all these different subjects, topics, questions that people are typing into Google at that particular time. So I did this yesterday, and it came up saying public speaking for beginners, public speaking tips, how to get out of public speaking or death, all these topics that people are typing in. And it will also give you questions that you can use. And that is just pure gold as far as giving you your topics to write about. And then the third way is just going through Facebook groups where your ideal customer avatar is what we talk about in marketing, your absolute perfect target audience client. Where are they hanging out? Are they female entrepreneurs? There's this group in Australia. I hope this is okay to say this word, but it's called Like-Minded Bitches Who Drink Wine. And it's for female entrepreneurs. There are over 160,000 people in this group. And it's really great because you can just go on there and have a scroll down and see what types of questions, what topics your ideal customer is asking, and what are their pain points. And it's really great intel because some people might say, does anyone know where I could find someone who has a media contact list? This is in my case. Or does anyone know how I can write a press release? And you might respond and say, well, here's actually a video that I recorded on this very topic. And then I might share a link to a YouTube clip. And that's then helping them out with that answer. But you don't even need to respond. It's more an intelligence gathering exercise where you are just really getting in tune with the top questions your ideal customer is asking. And that really is the secret to a lot of success, is just answering questions, whether you're a business coach, you're doing online courses, or you're in a B2C sort of industry. It's really just answering the top questions people have and helping them out. And these are the top ways. Not only can you get the top questions, but also you can get content ideas for your blogs and your press releases and your videos.
All the while you're becoming more reputable, more of a knowledge expert, building your brand. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, you're giving us the goal here. This is
This is really the goal. This is, I hope I'm really making it sound, I hope people are motivated listening to this because, I really love breaking down those misconceptions where people think, oh, I have to hire an expensive PR agent to be able to get my name out there. They really don't. So we've talked about press releases, blogs, videos. The other really important thing, I'm not a social media expert at all. I actually outsource my Facebook ads. It's just something I haven't really delved into. But LinkedIn has been very useful for my business. I probably make 50% of my income that comes from LinkedIn. And it's a very useful tool for a lot of people because your ideal customer is hanging out on LinkedIn. They see your posts, you can engage with people. There are a couple of things that people are not using LinkedIn to its maximum potential for. And the number one thing is people don't know this, but you can actually record a 30-second cover video now on LinkedIn. So if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see when you go to my actual profile, there's my photo, the still photo, but it also flashes up a 30-second video where I say, I'm Jaimie Abbott. I teach people how to be better at public speaking or how to do their own PR. If you'd like to download my free masterclass, go to jaimieabbott.com. And so people can see that when they go to my profile. The other thing is your cover picture, which is the cover profile banner behind your name. That is prime real estate for people to promote their business. So you can just you can put anything on there. You could put a website, you could put your lead magnet advertising, put a photo of you doing your work. A lot of people, when I go to their LinkedIn profiles, they've either got a blank profile or something which is not working to their absolute advantage to get customers. So they're just a couple of quick wins with LinkedIn that you can use. But really, you get, I think it's about 180 or so connections, give or take, a week on LinkedIn. And you can use the search feature on LinkedIn to connect with people that you love to do business with. And so I'm doing that every single week. LinkedIn is also now rewarding people who have company pages. And when I say rewarding, they are making sure the company pages are really visible and coming up in people's news feeds a lot. LinkedIn now has a live feature, and that's really useful because all your connections, similar to Facebook, they get a notification when you're live. And so LinkedIn now has this process you have to apply. So if you just Google LinkedIn Live application, really simple. I was approved in a couple of hours, about 2 hours. And there are a couple of platforms, including StreamYard, which you can use to go live on LinkedIn. And that's really useful. So I'll use StreamYard to go live on LinkedIn, on my company page, or my personal LinkedIn profile, Facebook, YouTube. They're the ones that I mostly use to go live at the same time using StreamYard. And the engagement figures and the reach that I've been getting, I've been doing it every single month for January. And the engagement on my Facebook, the inquiries that are coming through to my business, the signups to my online courses have hit an absolute record. And I definitely contribute that to going live. And the other thing, Candace, people often say, oh, I need to do my hair and makeup, or I need to work out what I'm going to say. If you keep thinking like that, you'll never go live. You just need to get your phone out and just speak. And the more you do it, the more effective you'll become, and the more polished and more confident you'll become. Going live on your social networks is probably one of my top tips at the moment because it is reaching more people and people are seeing you, because as we know, you have to pay a lot of money these days to be seen on Facebook. And rather than just posting a video or posting a photo or a blog post, if you go live, your connections are getting that notification and you'll see a lot of people tuning in. Doesn't even need to be a long video, just a couple of minutes max, and you'll be able to see the benefits of that.
Who knew that you would be giving us such helpful social media tips too? I'm sitting here with my jaw dropped, like LinkedIn has live now. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great news. But
Yeah.
I love your message there. Just get that phone out. Just go. Don't. There's a million reasons why holding you back from taking that step, but it's worth it. Oh,
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, Candice, no one cares what you look like. It's all about the content and the message. And sometimes I've got a couple of female clients who will say, "Oh, I have to go to the hairdressers." Unlike I haven't gone to the hairdressers at all today. If you keep thinking that way, you'll never get live. You'll never go on live. You'll never do anything. People today aren't concerned with how I look. They're concerned with what I'm telling them and how that's going to help their business. And I think people need to remember that it's the message and the content that's important, not looking like an amazing Instagram model. So
True.
that's the important thing.
They have to get out of that mindset because it's a little toxic. Because I can commit. I felt that way, and it took me forever to get a video up because everything had to be perfect, and it was just gotta just go for it. And,
you do, because you're missing out otherwise. Yeah, I mean, I think about yourself as a customer. You don't. I don't sign up to somebody's program because they're attractive. I sign up because they're delivering great content and how that's going to help me in my business. And I think, wow, yeah, you've got something which I need, and that's why I'll sign up, not because of how they look.
Exactly. 100%. Wow. Well, Jaimie, I applaud you, and this is such great content. Speaking of, and tips you're giving us today. Is there anything else you'd like to share? I know we're at 35 minutes, but before I let everybody know where they can find you, anything else you'd like to share today?
Yeah, so probably one other thing I will say, and some of the big time coaches always talk about this. Amy Porterfield, I've done a few of her courses as well in the States. She's big on this, and that is your email list, lead magnet, and your email list. It is really gold. And I think that has been a big part of the success in my business in the last 12 months. That is providing something for free on your website, on your email signature, every video you do, you're always drawing people to your lead magnet. Or if you're selling a course, you're asking them to do that. It's always important to have a call to action rather than just putting a video out there at all and not having, how can people find out more? Or how can people sign up to you? But the lead magnet is where you give something away for free. People opt in with their email address and they get the free thing. And then your email address is then put on your list. And I have gathered thousands and thousands of emails from doing this. And then I nurture those people. And when I say nurture, every week they get tips from me. Okay. And so I batch that. That's what I was going to say before, actually. That's another secret. I batch it. I don't wait every week to do it. I'll spend a day where I batch the next 10. I do things in tens, but you could do 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks ahead. I'll batch all my emails and I'll write the content. I'll batch my videos and do them all on one day. I'll batch my blog posts. I'll batch my social media posts, and I do them all in one hit as well. I use a new program, fairly new, called Meet Edgar, which is similar to a Hootsuite or a Buffer where you social media automate everything. And you pre-schedule it and it just goes on a rotation basis. But I'll put all those in and look at my schedule. I'll do that in advance all the time. So that's another great little secret. So with my lead magnet, people are getting a free tip from me every single week. And it might be a video. I've just released a podcast, just came out this week, actually. And so I'll promote the podcast episode for that week. And that's all pre-scheduled. So I've done 10 weeks in advance of my podcast. And so I can 10 weeks schedule my emails going out for each tip. And that's the whole thing. It's about providing value to your email list. So it's value, 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 then sell. So when I do sell, I've got a public speaking course I've just released online because I provided my email list with all these tips for the last month every week. When I do sell my public speaking course, they sign up because I'm not just selling to them all the time. I've been nurturing them, giving them all this value. And you can see all my tips on YouTube, on my podcast now, on my blog post, my website. It's all free tips, and I'm giving free tips now. And that's really important, I think, for a business owner, whether you're a business coach or you've got an online sort of element to your business, just always giving value, 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 value. And then when you sell, you will have so much a better result because you haven't just been selling, and turning people off the whole time. So that's probably another tip I would definitely do is value your email list, give something away for free and get people to sign up. And then you've got your email list, which you then always own Unlike, say, Facebook, where you don't have control of that platform, your email list is yours, your list that you've built up. Look after that list and give away a lot of value.
So, okay, I mean, I'm amazed. I have one more question for you because I'm just so curious. But you got the podcast started, you're doing your email list, you're blogging, you've got your classes, you've got your website, a lot of things happening there. How do you manage how do you manage all those things?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great
Yeah.
question, and I get that a lot. I would
Mm,
have to say there are batching,
yeah.
batching and a virtual assistant.
Okay.
So batching is where I will definitely dedicate one day a month, and I will block it out of my diary. I will make sure my phone is turned off, and that's super important because studies show that if you have a mobile phone and you are responding to a text or responding to an email, each time you stop, on average, is taking 23 minutes to get back on task. And if you do that 3 times a day, you're losing an hour a day. So it's important to remove all distractions, block it out in your diary. And I will say every Wednesday afternoon between 2 and 5, I'm shooting videos, I'm shooting content. And so I think it's a matter of just prioritizing the time and scheduling this time in your diary. I've got 2 little kids. It is hard. If I tried to do these things every day, I would never get it done. I also frontline. Is it called frontline? I stack a lot of my work in Monday and Tuesday and do my important tasks then. And that's shooting a video every week, making sure my blog posts are right, my email list is right to go, it's current. Because then if something happens, like my child gets sick, or things happen in life as they do, unexpected curveballs, I've front loaded the first part of the week with the most important tasks, and I can handle interruptions. So I think it is a matter of being focused and really batching your content. And that's really important. A lot of people I listen to, Graham Cochran is one of my business coaches. I'm part of his academy. I sign up to a lot of these people that I want to be like Amy Porterfield, Graham Cochran in Australia, Sarah Cordiner, who does online coaches. And I pay money to be part of their academy, where you get live coaching once a month. Actually, with all 3 of those, Amy Porterfield, Graham Cochran, Sarah Cordiner, they're kind of my business idols at the moment because they are where I want to be. These academy type programs or memberships I've signed up to, you get access to them once a month, and I'll ask them lots of questions. And they all say the same thing. They batch, they schedule time in their diary, they have me time. So they'll schedule time on a Friday, or they'll work a 4-day work week. And on the Friday, it's their recharge time. I think that's really important. And entrepreneurs, we just become slaves to our business sometimes.
Mm,
And careful planning, mapping out your year, mapping out your quarter, even mapping out your month and your goals. So I've just started doing this. Every day I go, what are the top 3 things I want to achieve today?
yep.
And because the to-do list is always so long as an entrepreneur, there's always things to do.
Yes.
And so I think if you can just have the top 3 goals and get to those first, then you can do the other things. That's going to help your business and your mental state as well, in feeling that you're actually achieving something.
Absolutely. Get that work-life balance. I love it. Wow, Jaimie, thank you so much for, oh my goodness, such great knowledge tips today. So much great content, like you said. Last but not least, where can our listeners find you?
Oh, absolutely. So they can just go to my website, I suppose. Everything's housed there, and that's just jaimieabbott.com. Jaimie spelled Jaimie, Abbott with 2 B's and 2 T's.com. I'm on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts now with my brand new podcast, giving tips like I've delivered today. Although I feel like I've just done my 10 weeks of my podcast episodes in this one episode. I've given you all of my tips and tricks over the next 10
Oh,
weeks. So you just need to listen to this one
we have
podcast with Candace. You've got it all. Yeah, so you can just go to my website. There's free resources on there. I have a free masterclass, which is like an evergreen webinar. I've got templates, a press release, and a media pitch template on there. I've got a 5-day public speaking challenge. So I've actually got 3 lead magnets on my website, and my funnel is like this. And that's the other little tip I'll leave you with too. My funnel is like this, where got all these leads coming in, and that could be through blogs, through YouTube, through my podcast, being a podcast guest, although you're my first one I've ever been a podcast guest on, I think,
Oh,
in a business sense.
yeah.
But, people will hear me, and this is all marketing. I spend 80% of my time marketing and putting free content out there. And then 20% are actually serving clients and doing one-on-ones and dealing with one-on-one clients and doing services for them. If you spend too long down here, especially if you've got an online business online business concept or model, you're never going to scale. So and I will even turn clients away if they want a one-on-one with me, and it's in a time that I've scheduled to do a video. I will prioritize the video, because I can reach more people by putting a video out there on YouTube and get more leads who want to sign up to my Public Relations Academy. That's a monthly fee where they get all courses plus monthly Zoom calls with me. I'm better off like sort of prioritizing this area, I call it a little funnel, where all the marketing and leads are being captured, than I am being bogged down doing too many one-on-ones, because you just can't be in more than one place at one time.
Exactly.
And I'd rather put myself out there through content to get more people signing up to my academy and my courses, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's it makes sense. It's very strategic, and it's a good thing to think about. Like you've mentioned the lead magnet. That's a new term for me. So but I'm learning that's how you're capturing those leads in different ways, with the emails being one of them. So no, it gives me some thoughts for sure. But this is great. This is Jaimie, I so appreciate you, and I know I've kept you over. I told her, hey, let's talk for 30 minutes, and there's just so many great things to talk about. So we could talk all day, but maybe we can have you again sometime if you're willing. But
I would love that. You can tell I'm passionate about this. I love teaching people how to do this, because I just meet so many people who I give them these strategies and they say, look, I just got featured online and it's been able to get so many more clients to my business. Or look, I got featured in this newspaper and I've had sales go through the roof because of that. I find that so rewarding. And it's just, we're all here to make a difference in life. And if I can help people, then I'll be really, really happy. I've made my mark.
Absolutely. And when someone's passionate, you can tell. And this is, it comes through in your energy. So this is, we appreciate that. We do.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
It's been wonderful having you. Thank you. And thank you to all the listeners for joining us today. We look forward to bringing you more great content like this. And please give us a like or subscribe. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time.